So when you are talking about an adjective, adjectives, these are words that describe or modify a noun. So adjectives are going to describe or modify a noun. Okay, so these are what we call adjectives. For example, when you are talking about Mwanza, you want to understand more about this person. Is he short or tall? So you can talk about being tall, maybe being beautiful or ugly. Okay, you can also talk about being fat, such. So these words, they are going to describe how a noun is. So we call them adjectives. So adjectives can come before or after the noun has been mentioned already. Okay. Adjectives can come before or after the noun has been mentioned. For example, uh, Mwansa, let's say, Mwansa is a member of, let's say, of the student council. So what is describing more Mwansa in this sentence? So it is a student council. So this is going to refer that we can refer to as adjective. Why? Because it is describing more about this person Mwansa. Okay, you can talk about uh, let's say my enemies are around the place, or they surround the government. So what do they surround? The government. So government is going to represent an adjective. So an adjective can come before or after uh, a noun, after a noun is being mentioned. You can also say Jerry experimented with bacteria in his lab. So Jerry experimented with bacteria. So you are talking about the experiment which Jerry did, but what is describing more about what Jerry did? So the experiment, we are describing it more with the bacteria. That is what he did it. So bacteria in this case is an adjective. So adjectives are just words that are going to be used to describe more about a person. For example, you can say Vupe is a beautiful young woman. So in here you are trying to describe Vupe. And how is Vupe? She's a beautiful young woman. So you are trying to describe her. So these are adjectives. So these are some examples of adjectives that we get to use. So apart from adjectives, we also need to understand verbs. Now, when you are talking about verbs, verbs are simply action words. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, okay. All right. So remember we are talking about the adjective, and we are saying an adjective is going to describe or modify a noun. So in this case, a noun, we know that it is a naming word. So Vope is representing a name of a person. So you want to describe how Vope is. So how is she? So she is beautiful and she's a young woman. So these words are describing Vope. So these are adjectives. Yes. Okay, so we are saying now a verb is an action word. And these are mostly we do this every day, like jumping, running. We also have walking. So all these you can see here are action words. Okay, so we also have types of verbs. This same action words, we have got types. For example, let's first talk about what we call regular verbs. We also have what we call irregular verbs. So when you are talking about regular verbs, these are verbs that carry ed at the end, okay, in their past tense. So when you are writing the past tense of regular verbs, they are going to have ed. For example, jumped. So you can see ed at the end. Walked. So these are regular verbs. And then irregular verbs, they do not carry ed in their past tense. For example, eat. Okay, the past tense for eat is ate. So there is no ed at the end. Another example is sing. The past tense for sing is sang. Ed at the end. Another example is read. The past tense for read is read, and the same. These are all irregular verbs. So we need also to know these types of verbs. And you need to know how to use them. For example, if you are starting a sentence with, let's say, jumping, or let's say maybe, you need to know how to be able to start sentences with those, and we are going to talk about them when we are going to have a next class.